The girl was crying so hard over the piano keys she could barely see them. Right then a voice from behind said, "May I play?" And when Maria turned around, there stood a man in a leather jacket, eyes tired but kind, watching her with something that looked like recognition. Wait, because what Dean Martin did in the next 48 minutes would become a story whispered in every corner of Hollywood for years, and almost nobody understood what it cost him. Los Angeles, Sunset Boulevard, April 24th, 1965, 2:30 in the afternoon. 16-year-old Maria Romano knelt beside her mother's 1953 Steinway piano, sobbing. The cardboard sign read $350. Her mother, Sophia, stood beside her, eyes bloodshot. "We have no other choice, Maria. Either the piano's money or we're on the street tonight." They were 3 months behind on rent. The landlord's ultimatum, $600 by 5 o'clock or eviction Monday. Maria knew the piano was worth at least $3,000, but they didn't have time. Right then, a voice from behind was about to change everything. A man approached, leather jacket, dark hair slicked back, unmistakable walk. When Sophia turned, her breath caught. Maria didn't know it yet, but the next 47 minutes would completely change her life. Maria's story began 8 months earlier, August 1964. Her father, Anthony Romano, Tony to everyone, worked as a pianist and singer at a small Hollywood lounge. 3 sets a night, 6 nights a week. When he came home, he'd teach Maria piano. "Music may not make you rich," he'd say, "but it fills the soul." Every evening at 7, they'd sit together at the piano. Tony taught her classic songbook pieces, but Maria's favorite was "Everybody Loves Somebody." "This song feels like home," she'd say. Tony would smile. Dean Martin turns loneliness into warmth. One Sunday morning in August, everything changed. Tony got up at 6, made breakfast. When he went to wake Maria, he stopped on the stairs, clutching his chest. Heart attack. The ambulance came within 10 minutes, but it was too late. At 47, Tony died before his daughter's eyes. After the funeral, the truth came out. Tony's lounge had fired him 2 months earlier. A younger singer for less money. He'd been hiding it, leaving the house every night, sitting in coffee shops until midnight. He owed money to banks. The rent was 5 months behind. His insurance was canceled. Sophia and Maria understood then how hard Tony had tried to protect them. Maria remembered her father crying while playing piano. "Why are you crying, Dad?" "From happiness," he'd said. But now she knew the truth. Before we go on, understand something about Italian-American families in the 60s. The piano wasn't just furniture, it was proof you'd survived, proof you'd climbed out of poverty. When an immigrant family sold their piano, they weren't just selling wood and keys, they were admitting they'd failed. Look, the months after were a nightmare. Sophia hadn't worked in 16 years. She applied everywhere. Dress shops, tailors, but doors closed. Maria wanted to drop out. "Mom, I can work," Sophia cried. "No, your father's last wish was for you to finish school," but there was no way. September, they missed rent. October, again. November, the 3rd. The landlord was done waiting. $600 by month's end or eviction. Sophia worked cleaning jobs until midnight. Maria started at a newsstand, up at 5 every morning. Their combined income, $250 a month. Rent, electricity, water, food. Sophia stopped eating. "I'm not hungry," she'd say. But Maria saw her mother shrinking. In April, Maria decided, "Mom, we have to sell the piano." Sophia froze. "No, Maria. That piano is your father's legacy. Dad wouldn't want us on the street," Maria said, voice hard but eyes tearing. "The piano is just a thing. We have each other." Sophia cried until dawn. But Maria was right. And somewhere in Hollywood, a man was about to make a choice that would haunt him for years, though he'd never regret it. Notice something about that piano. Sophia's mother had given it to her, 18. Sophia had played at Italian restaurants in Santa Monica. One night, Tony came to listen. "Your playing is beautiful," he'd said, "but your smile more so." They married 6 months later. When Maria was born, Sophia played Puccini instead of lullabies. Now the piano had to be sold. A 1953 Steinway was worth $3,000, but in a rush sale, maybe $700. Sophia took it to music shops. "I can give you $200, one owner said. She refused. Every shop made similar offers. "The piano market is slow," they'd say. What nobody knew yet, not Sophia, not Maria, not even the man who'd soon approach them, was that this piano held something more valuable than $3,000, something that couldn't be appraised or insured, something that would change not just one life, but dozens. But first, it had to survive the next 3 hours. Mr. Castellano's final ultimatum came. Friday, April 23rd. $600 by 5 p.m. or eviction Monday. Maria had an idea. Mom, Sunset Boulevard, tourists, musicians. Someone will buy it. Thursday evening, neighbors helped load the piano. Sophia touched the keys one last time. "Forgive me, Mother." Maria couldn't sleep. She played Everybody Loves Somebody until morning, tears streaming. "I'm sorry, Dad." When dawn broke, she made a decision. "Whatever happens today," she whispered to the piano, "I won't let them take you for nothing." She didn't know that decision would bring a stranger into her life, a stranger who understood exactly what she meant. Remember this: April 24th, 1965, Friday. Los Angeles woke bright and warm, cruelly cheerful. Maria and Sophia arrived at Sunset Boulevard at 9, placed the piano on the sidewalk near Vine Street. The morning sun hit the polished wood, making it glow like it was brand new. The smell of coffee drifted from a nearby cafe. Traffic hummed. Palm trees rustled in the breeze. Everything felt normal, indifferent to their desperation. Sophia wrote, "Urgent sale Ired Tuseth, $350, 1953 Steinway." Maria protested. "Mom, it's worth $3,000. Why so cheap?" Sophia looked at her with tired eyes. "We need money, not time. $350 keeps us alive this week." What Maria didn't know was that 30 feet away, a man had already noticed them, already made a decision, already reached for his wallet. But he was waiting to understand something first, something about the girl's hands on those keys. The first hour, no one stopped. The second hour, a man laughed. "A Steinway for $350. What's wrong with it?" "It works perfectly," Maria said. "We're desperate." The man left muttering. Noon came. Nobody bought it. Maria looked at the clock tower down the boulevard, 12:15. 5 hours left. They were hungry, couldn't afford lunch. Sophia counted coins. $4.60. "Go eat," she told Maria. Neither ate. 2 o'clock. Still no buyer. 3 hours until the landlord's deadline. Sophia panicked. What if it doesn't sell? Maria held her hand. "It will, Mom. It has to." At 2:30, Sophia started crying, covering her face. Maria had never seen her mother like this. Always strong, always resilient, now completely collapsed. 2.5 hours left. 2.5 hours until they'd lose everything. Maria hugged her. "Don't cry, Mom." But she was crying too. 2 women beside a piano on Sunset Boulevard, crying in desperation. People walked past, didn't look, didn't care. LA's cold face, but someone was watching. 30 feet away, beside a record shop, a man stood, leather jacket, dark hair, sunglasses pushed up. Dean Martin, and he'd been watching for almost 5 hours. That day was difficult for Dean too. 1965 had been turbulent. Divorce from Jean, press scrutiny. He'd just left Capitol Records. The music was good, but he felt empty. That morning, he'd told his manager, "I'm taking a walk. Clear my head." "Dean, you'll be recognized." Dean laughed. "In LA, Nobody looks at anybody. Everyone's too busy being somebody. Stop for a second. Coming to Sunset Boulevard was chance. Dean wanted coffee, maybe browse record shops. While walking, he saw them. At first, he didn't pay attention. Then he saw the piano. A Steinway. The price, $350. Absurd. Then Maria, 16, eyes red, face pale, and her mother collapsed, exhausted. Dean's heart ached. He remembered his own childhood. Steubenville, his father working to exhaustion in the barber shop, his mother skipping meals so the kids could eat. Dean knew desperation. In these women's eyes, he saw it again. Should he intervene? Maybe mind his own business. But Dean wasn't that kind of person. In 62, he'd paid a musician's medical bills secretly. In 63, covered a waitress's rent for 3 months. In 64, bought a struggling musician a used car. Nobody knew. The press didn't know. Dean helped quietly, never boasting. Real kindness should be silent, he'd say. Those who broadcast their good deeds aren't doing good. They're feeding their ego. Dean approached. Sophia lifted her head. When she saw him, she froze. Dean smiled gently. Is this piano for sale? Sophia nodded. Couldn't speak. Maria answered. Yes, $350. Dean walked around it, touched the keys. It's beautiful. Why are you selling it? Maria hesitated, but there was something in Dean's eyes. No judgment, just genuine curiosity. My father died. We have debts. We have to sell it. Dean's smile disappeared. I'm so sorry. Was your father a musician? He was a pianist and singer. At lounges, he taught me to play. Dean sat at the bench. May I play? Of course, sir. Dean placed his fingers on the keys and began. When the first notes came out, Maria's heart stopped. Dean was playing Everybody Loves Somebody, her father's favorite, the song he'd taught her last. The sound cut through the traffic like a knife. Pure, clear. The piano's tone, rich, warm. Sunset Boulevard seemed to stop. Car horns faded. Footsteps quieted. Maria could only hear her father's song played by her father's idol on her father's piano. Maria remembered her father at the piano, playing the same song. This song is special, her father would say, because Dean Martin sings it like he means every word. Listen, tears streamed from Sophia's eyes, but not tears of pain, tears of memory. The piano, her youth, Tony singing along. When Dean finished, a small crowd had gathered. People had stopped to listen. No one applauded. They just stood in silence, moved. Dean looked at Maria. It's a beautiful piano. Your father took very good care of it. Maria wiped her tears. Thank you. Dean stood. So, has anyone offered to buy it for $350? Maria shook her head. Not yet. Dean reached into his jacket, pulled out a wallet. Maria's heart raced. What Dean did next, Maria couldn't have imagined. Dean pulled out 12 $100 bills. He held them out to Maria. This money is yours. Maria was shocked. What? No, Dean raised his hand gently. I'm not buying the piano. I'm giving you this. Sophia jumped up. No, sir. We can't accept charity. Dean interrupted softly but firmly. This isn't charity. This is one musician helping another musician's family. But I'm not a professional musician. Dean smiled. Not yet, but you will be. Music is inside you. I heard it when you touched those keys. That's what your father left you. Maria started crying, but we can't accept this much. Who are you? Dean paused. Should he say or remain anonymous? But the sincerity in Maria's eyes moved him. My name is Dean Martin. Wait, the world stopped. Maria's world spun. Dean Martin, one of the world's most famous singers, the man on the radio every day, the voice her father had loved, and now on Sunset Boulevard, holding out $1,200. Sophia's knees buckled. She leaned against the piano. My God, you're really Dean laughed gently. Yes, but please, keep this quiet. I was just taking a walk. But why? Why are you helping us? Dean looked into Maria's eyes. For a moment, his guard dropped. Exhaustion, the weight of fame, but also recognition of suffering. Because Maria, I was once where you are. Not exactly, but close. Watching my father work himself to death. Watching my mother pretend she wasn't hungry. Music being the only thing that made sense. Someone gave me a chance once. Ernie McKay heard me sing in a little club. Got me my first real gig. I didn't forget. Now it's my turn. Hold that moment in your mind. What you're about to hear is the part nobody talks about. Every time Dean helped someone like this, and there had been dozens, he'd go home and sit alone for hours, not celebrating, not feeling noble, just thinking about all the people he couldn't help, all the pianos he'd never see. The randomness of it ate at him. Why this girl? Why today? The questions never had answers, but he helped anyway, because not helping would have destroyed him. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just tell me, are you going to sell this piano? Maria looked at Sophia. Sophia was crying, shaking her head. The rent, the debts. Dean took out his checkbook. He wrote a check for $1,500, handed it to Sophia. This is for your debts. And please, don't sell this piano. Your husband gave this to you. You'll give it to your daughter. She'll give it to hers. That's how music survives. Sophia looked at the check. $1,500. More importantly, Dean's words. Your husband gave this to you. Sophia looked at the piano, remembered Tony saving for 2 years to buy it. This piano should stay with us, he'd said. It's part of our family. Sophia understood now. The piano wasn't just a thing. It was Tony's love, Sophia's youth, Maria's future. We don't know how to thank you, Mr. Martin. Dean shook his head. Don't thank me. Just make sure Maria keeps playing. But why do you care so much? Dean took a deep breath. You could see the loneliness in his eyes, the burden of being Dean Martin always performing. Because Maria, the world is a hard place. Music makes it bearable. In your hands, this piano can touch thousands, but only if you don't give up. I won't give up. I promise. Dean smiled. A real smile. Not the practiced showbiz grin. That's what I needed to hear. Before leaving, he pulled out a business card, wrote a name and phone number on the back. This is a piano teacher I know. One of the best in LA. I'll call her tonight. She'll expect you. Free lessons. Maria took the card with shaking hands. But I don't deserve this. Dean touched her shoulder gently. Everyone deserves a second chance. Maria, what matters is what you do with it. He turned to leave. His leather jacket, dark hair, disappeared into the Sunset Boulevard crowd. Is this real, Maria? Or am I dreaming? Maria hugged her mother. It's real, Mom. That day they took the piano back home. Neighbors helped. The piano returned to its spot in the living room. That night Maria played Everybody Loves Somebody, but didn't cry. She smiled, knowing her father was still with her, in every note, every key. The next day, Maria called the number. A woman answered. Hello, I'm Mrs. Henderson. Dean called last night. I was expecting you. Maria took lessons 3 days a week, 2 hours each, for 2 years. Mrs. Henderson was strict. Talent isn't enough, Maria. You have to work harder than everyone else. Maria worked 4 hours a day at the piano, after school, straight to practice. Sophia would watch, tears in her eyes. Just like me when I was young, the same passion. In February '66, Maria's school organized a talent show. Maria wanted to play Everybody Loves Somebody. Henderson hesitated. That piece requires real emotional depth. Are you ready? I'm sure. I'm dedicating it to my father and to Dean Martin. Concert night, February 14th, '66. The auditorium was packed. When Maria walked on stage, her hands shook. But when she sat at the piano, she found peace. When she played the first notes, the auditorium fell silent. When she finished, they erupted, standing ovation, applause, whistles. When Maria opened her eyes, she saw someone at the very back, Dean Martin, standing quietly, applauding. After the concert, Dean came backstage. "You were magnificent. Your father would be so proud." "I can't believe you came." Dean smiled. "I promised myself I'd check on you. You didn't disappoint." But there was one more thing Dean did. Maria didn't know. Sophia didn't know. Only Dean's lawyer knew. Dean had set up an education fund, $25,000, available when Maria turned 18. He hadn't told anyone. She'll accept it when she thinks she's earned it. He told his lawyer. She needs to know she did this herself. Remember that question from months earlier? What made that piano worth more than $3,000? Not the wood, not the keys, not the Steinway name. It was this: the capacity to hold one man's love, one woman's dreams, and one girl's future all at once. The piano had been passed forward, not through sale, but through grace. Dean had understood this on Sunset Boulevard. He hadn't just saved a piano, he'd saved what it meant. In April '67, Maria turned 18. She received a letter from Dean's law firm. Inside was information about the fund and a handwritten note. "Dear Maria, this money is yours for your music education. But remember, real education comes from living, from feeling, from giving. Play, learn, share, and one day, help someone the way I tried to help you. The world needs more music and more kindness." Dean. Maria and Sophia cried. They wrote a thank you letter, but never got a reply. Dean didn't need thanks. Maria got into USC School of Music, 4 years studying piano performance. When she graduated in '71, she became a teacher. But not just for wealthy kids in Beverly Hills. She gave free lessons in East LA, in poor neighborhoods, to kids who reminded her of herself. "Everyone deserves music," she'd say. Just like Dean said, just like my father believed. In December '95, Dean Martin died. Maria heard on the radio while driving. She had to pull over, couldn't see through tears. That evening, she sat at the piano, the same 1953 Steinway. She played Everybody Loves Somebody for an hour. The keys felt warm, like they remembered. The sound filled her living room, spilled into the night. "Thank you, Dean. You didn't just give me money, you gave me my life back." Years later, Maria learned something from Dean's daughter. After that day on Sunset Boulevard, Dean had gone home and hadn't spoken for 3 hours. Just sat in his study, staring at the wall. When asked what was wrong, he'd said, "I met a girl today who reminded me why music matters." Then he'd cried. Dean Martin had cried because helping Maria had cracked something open in him, made him feel everything he usually kept buried. That was the cost. You had to let yourself feel their pain and somehow keep walking anyway. In 2024, Maria Romano is 66. She's still teaching. The 1953 Steinway is still in her living room, its wood bearing the patina of 7 decades. Now she's teaching her granddaughter. "This piano is so old, Grandma." Maria smiles. "Yes, it's old. But there's a story inside it. Would you like to hear it?" And she tells it again. April 24th, '65, Sunset Boulevard. A desperate girl, a kind stranger, a moment that changed everything. The power of a single moment. Dean Martin didn't just give money that day. He gave a family hope. He gave a girl a future. He gave a piano a second life. And perhaps most importantly, he taught a lesson still worth learning. Real kindness is done quietly, without cameras, without expectations, without needing the world to know. Dean didn't have to be there. He didn't have to stop. He didn't have to play. He didn't have to help. But he did, because that's who he was when the cameras weren't watching. Because he believed in music. Because he believed in people. because he remembered what it felt like to need help. Maria's story isn't just a rescue story. It's about how powerful a single touch of kindness can be. The $2,700 Dean gave changed Maria's life. But more importantly, Maria took that gift and multiplied it. She's taught over 300 students. 42 went on to professional music careers. Hundreds more simply learned to love music, to find comfort in it during hard times. She kept Dean's legacy alive, not by talking about it, but by living it. Maybe that's what real kindness is, taking what you've been given and passing it forward, taking a light someone showed you and using it to light someone else's way. Today, if you walk Sunset Boulevard near Vine Street, you won't find a plaque. There's no memorial. Most people don't know what happened there that April afternoon in '65. But Maria knows. Her family knows. The students she's taught know. And now you know too. If you enjoyed spending this time here, I'd be grateful if you'd consider subscribing. A simple like also helps more than you'd think, because some stories shouldn't be forgotten. Some moments should echo forever. And the kindness Dean Martin showed on that spring day, quiet, unexpected, transformative, still matters. If you want to hear what Dean did the night he found out Maria had been accepted to USC, or the letter he wrote to her that she's never shown anyone, tell me in the comments. Because there's always more to the story. There's always another moment of grace hidden in the ordinary days. You just have to be willing to look.